It's a segment we call Coronavirus Q&A, where we talk to people and separate the facts from the fear and the fiction that's out there when it comes to this coronavirus pandemic that we're going through. And right now, we are pleased to be joined by San Antonio Congressman Joaquin Castro. Thank you for joining us, Congressman. And I guess right off the bat, your reaction to a deal that seems to have been struck in the Senate tonight.
Yeah, it looks like the U.S. Senate is passed or passing another round of funding for small businesses and for hospitals and also for more testing. That's a great thing, and I'm looking forward to reviewing the bill when it finally passes the Senate, and also continuing to work for some of the things that still need to get into more legislation. For example, I think that $1,200 that people got is not going to be enough when folks have a rent bill or a mortgage bill, a light bill, a water bill, all of these things. So we need to push for more individual relief for folks.
Now, Congressman, yesterday we had somebody on from Workforce Alamo Solutions to talk to us about some unemployment and just the staggering and overwhelming numbers that they're seeing there. You made a call out on Twitter at the end of March asking folks, and I'm sure this is something that you're hearing at your office a lot, who are having trouble filing for unemployment. Where are those calls today? Are you still receiving a lot at your office?
Yeah, we've received over the last month thousands of calls from constituents in San Antonio, and they were trying to get through the Workforce Commission, and they weren't able to get through. And the Workforce Commission, that system was just not designed to handle the volume of calls that they've been receiving. There were, as of last week, about 1 million Texans who were recently unemployed because of all this. And so we were trying to help them get in touch with the Workforce Commission. And, thankfully, we've been successful in helping almost everybody. There's still some tough cases there. But, because people need those unemployment benefits. We've also been helping folks with the IRS checks. Some people had bank accounts with tax preparers that were set up, and the checks were mistakenly sent over there. So we've been helping them get in touch with the IRS to fix that up.
How many people are you hearing from that just have never been unemployed before? They just don't know the first thing to do.
Yeah, a good bit. I mean, this is it's jolting for everybody, but you're right. I mean, there's some people that have never been out of work before, and so this is a first-time experience for them. And just like everyone else, they're very nervous and anxious. Of course, wondering, as we all are, when everything will be safe enough to get back to quote-unquote normal. But in the meantime, I told my staff has been working really hard to help folks, that the best thing that we can do right now is be useful for San Antonians. So that's what we're trying to do.
Now, you've been pushing also for hazard pay for our sanitation workers, our grocery store workers who are really at the front line. We tend to think of those in the medical field, but there are also people working a slew of essential businesses also doing some of that hard work that would require hazard pay.
And I actually saw that New York Governor Andrew Cuomo actually called for hazard pay, too, for some of the workers out there.
Yeah, that's right. I hope that some of the states on their own will do it. And I think that Governor Abbott, out of the rainy day fund, should consider doing that. But in terms of the Congress, yeah, I think that the folks that we've seen out there working at H-E-B and at the grocery stores, the sanitation workers, certainly the healthcare workers, we kept hearing stories of nurses at local hospitals who didn't have the proper gear, for example. Our first responders that have been out there, farm workers who've been out there in the fields working longer hours than even they've ever worked, and they already have difficult jobs. I think that they deserve some kind of hazard pay from either and their company or their government. And so I've been pushing very hard for that. Hopefully in the next legislative package, we can get something like that done.
I want to put up now I know that your office has put out the numbers and a website for people if they're having issues with COVID-19, whatever the issues are. And it's castro.covid@mail.house.gov. And then the phone number to call is 210-348-8216. I want to leave those up as we finish off this interview, just so people know how they can get help, because that's certainly what you're offering.
Absolutely.
How have you been dealing with this whole thing? I mean, I know you're in San Antonio tonight. Have you basically been here, since the House let out?
Yeah, I got back, on the second round of legislation that we voted on, I think like at 1 a.m. or 12:30 on March 13th or 14th. And I got on a morning flight the next day, and I've been back ever since. I've been here with my family at home. And, I tried to pour myself into all of the constituent services and the work and getting ready for the next round of legislation. You know, I've stayed at home, I think, 98% of the time, pretty much. You know, the thing is, what I found is that the longer this goes on, the more all of the physical meetings that we had in Congress start to get replicated as phone conferences or Zoom meetings or Skype meetings and everything. So.
All right, Congressman Joaquin Castro joining us live. Thank you so much for your time and safe travels back to D.C.
Take care.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.